G'day, guys. We're living in a world where the food supply is controlled by fewer and fewer corporates, and obviously they want to push more and more of the fake meats, the fake ingredients into the food supply. I mean, people that are going to be buying powders, for instance, may be unaware that a lot of the the protein bars, the powders, and many other things potentially have a risk of having certain insect food put into them. Your family members may be unaware in that regard. There is a German lad that's actually created a product that is freely available. It has some ads, but not really many. It's quite limited. He's not making any money out of it. He's just a programmer, and he's put this out. It's called the Insect Food Scanner. So you can scan the barcodes, and I've actually checked and reviewed uh, sort of comments from North America, from other parts of Europe, and all that, and it seems to work worldwide. So it seems like the food industry has certain standards and in terms of barcoding for their products. And so you scan the barcode, and then you're able to basically get a hold of information whether that product has or doesn't have, and whether it's you know problematic or not for you. Because obviously, certain foods, certain things can be we can be sensitive to. Now, there are populations, a bit like, lactose intolerance. There are people that have got lactose intolerance. There are people that don't. So they can tolerate lactose. And it's the same thing with crustaceans, with a number of different foods. But also when it comes to insects, there are populations that have been consuming insects for a very long time and seem to have a far better in their immune system has adapted to certain um, components in those foods that could potentially be have anaphylactic effect or reactions in populations that have never been exposed to insects in their food supply. So it's more to provide the capacity for people to basically check those foods, both for their families and themselves, to see whether their food that they're actually buying, this semi or partially processed food, has insects or doesn't have insects. And then it's up to people to decide whether they consume that product or not. I wouldn't personally, but other people may not have an issue with that. Obviously, the food companies, Bill Gates, people like that, they're pushing this sort of stuff. The WEF and a whole lot of organisations. There's the downside, and the downside is that large parts of the population of this planet are not adapted to it, and there is a risk because for them, with their ideologies, that they don't even think about those health-related risks. They're more concerned about pushing their agenda, making their profits, all that sort of stuff. As many of you are well aware. Now, let me just share my screen and oops, and share. And so I'll put these in the description box. So you've got the insect food scanner on the Google Play. So that's what it sort of looks like. To get an idea, let's enlarge it. So the scanner looks like that. It's got, your settings, your database. You can actually save off your own lists and stuff like that. And you pretty much scan the barcode, by putting it over it with your camera and by enabling your camera under the settings to work with this application on an Android phone. And then you just put scan and it will actually give you a reply, and you'll get something like insects found. So you'll get that, and you get whatever details are available for that product. No insects found. So if it gives you a smiley face, like for the Pepsi Max up there, as you can see, doesn't have any insect. Oops, went fast. Itchy's original mix does. And then you've got the sort of the database information, stuff like that. So your history and favourites and settings, so you can pick languages as well. So, you know, especially if you've got family members that may be from a non-English speaking background, you've got the option to give them this capacity where they can actually, in their own language, and the final one is some of the other settings where you can actually have contacts and all sorts of other things. Not not really necessary. Some of these other settings, I don't like linking my apps to too many things. Personally, is the way I operate. So you've got basically the insect food scanner. Marcel Bartecki is the guy that's developed this. This is the person. He does have a Polish background, but he lives in Germany. I think he may be part German, part Polish. Not sure. He's a German citizen. This is a German website, and he's got all these details in Hamburg, Germany, and a whole lot of questions if you understand the German language. When you do actually go to this site, it does give you the option to change everything into English if you want. So there's also the Apple one. He first built the other one, but he's also built the Apple one, so the Apple Store, and pretty much the same sort of setup. I'm not going to go through. You can actually see all the same sort of stuff. It's for the iPad and iPhone. That's the iPad. This is the iPhone look. And these are his sort of details. He's even got his address there of his business. So all that sort of stuff. And the actual versions. So he's probably got a professional version without ads that you can purchase for very little. So you've got the iPhone, the iPad Touch, the Mac, the Apple version. So it gives you, so I suspect the ones that are PC based, that are the computer based ones, is when you go to online businesses and stuff like that, you can check and get the information based on that. So that's about it. I'll stop sharing. So it's pretty much just to provide you guys with some information that there is an application out there now that is kept up to date, is available on, a lot of Apple products plus Android phones. So you can use it when you're in the supermarket. You just scan the barcode, get the information. And in particular, it's really most of us are carnivores are probably going to have a minimal exposure to these sort of things. But there are cases where we do buy some, and you know who you are, some processed foods in terms of sports bars, things like that, or powders for bodybuilding, and you may not know the source. So it may be in the small writing, and very hard to see if you're an older bodybuilder. So pretty much using the barcode, you can scan it immediately and go, oops, I'll give that a miss. I'll put it back on the shelf and check the other powder. So it gives you that option. The problem is that I think most of us are quite aware nowadays that a lot of products are tainted with all sorts of chemicals, with all sorts of additives and things like that. It's really hard to be able to scan a whole raft of things and know exactly what is in them and what isn't. This is an option. It gives you a tool for the indiscretions that some of you naughty people get up to, but also for your family, because you've got family members that are still eating some of this sort of stuff. For them, this is a useful tool. They can scan the barcode. They can know whether there is some of these types of, yes, Bill Gatesy additives. We'll call them the Gates additives, in your food supply. And then you can opt out and give them a miss. Anyway, I hope that was informative and of some use to you and your families. See yous.